Welcome to today's live stream. It is the fourth lesson, the fourth video in the series of lessons on how to play piano, especially if you're a beginner. Today we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be showing you how to play and read sheet music at the same time on piano. Sorry about that. Sound. So I'm gonna go through the process. I'm gonna do some explanations first. This is a lot of information to get through today, actually. So you're gonna catch me looking at my laptop a lot. I want to make sure we get through all the information because it could get a little complicated, a little bit tricky. I want to make it as easy as possible for you guys. All right. Now, if this live stream is over, you go ahead and check out the materials in the video description below. Of course, you're gonna want to watch the video anyway because it's not gonna make much sense without it. Now, you might have to watch this a few more times as well because it's a lot harder to do this stuff on your own. This process that I'm going to show you, actually, I just do it for my students and they kind of learn without realizing it. So you're going to have to know what you're doing every step of the way. It's a little bit different than the way I teach. To be honest, I don't know how to do this online and I'm attempting to do it for the first time here. Okay? Now, the materials, you're going to need the actual music, Faber Studio collection. I have two here. We're going to do one at the beginner level and one at the easy level, which is level 1 step higher than that. And we're going to need a keyboard guide, okay? Now, for the music recommendation, you can check out my previous live streams where I went into the Faber Studio collection, which is the collection, the series that I recommend, and that's the one that you're going to start with. That I would like you to start with anyway, because that's the one I'm going to show you today. Alright, so getting into it, here's the first thing you're going to need to know before we actually go into reading and playing. Okay, the first thing you need to know about playing piano, and this is going to help you with reading at the same time as well, is that each one of your fingers has a number. If we count in from the thumb, out to the pinky goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Don't get mixed up. Sometimes students play the pinky, the fifth finger. Sometimes I think it's 1. But remember, it always goes in to out. All right. This is one rule. This is the most simplest thing about this rule is that it doesn't change over time. So at least it's one rule in piano playing that does not change over time. So if you're using numbers at the beginning level, this is the same thing for a concert pianist. If you're beginning all the way to advanced, the numbers are always going to be the same. So whenever you see a 3, 4, or whatever on the music, it's always going to indicate fingers. Now, what we're going to do with this is you're going to take each finger, and once you know the number on it, we're going to take that number and you're going to label it on the actual music so you know which finger to play it with. Now, a quick lowdown. You need to review a little bit about the middle C position. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can see the last video for that, but I'll just give you a quick primer. Middle C is where we take the thumb and we share middle C with your thumb, right? And then you're going to go from C, let's see, from the right hand, you're going to go C. And the next one's going to be D, E, F, and G. Hope that makes sense for you guys. So in the right hand, that's C, 2 is D, 3 is E, 4 is F, 5 is G. Now the left hand, you're going to take that same C with the thumb, okay? It's going to go 1 on C, 2 on G, 5 on F, okay? We start with middle C position because this is the main position that you're going to be working in a lot with the music at the beginning level, okay? Also, quick note, you may or may not use all the fingers in the music. Sometimes you will only play a few notes in the left hand, sometimes you play all the notes in the right hand, so it's going to be a combination of things, okay? So if you don't play every single finger on each note, don't freak out. It's not a big problem. Now, the actual labeling, and this might be a little bit easier if you have flashcards handy, because the only thing I would say that I would hold a student back is when you're looking at the actual music in print on the sheet music, it's a little smaller. So if you have flashcards, it kind of blows up the picture so you can have a close-up look on that. So that's how that can kind of help. All right, now we're going to go into actual labeling of it. I'm going to take this camera, take my phone. All right. few seconds while I get this set up for you guys. All right, so it's gonna be a little bit weird, but let's see if I can work this out. Okay. All right, I'm gonna fix this camera over here. All right, let's take a look at the music. Grab a pencil. All right, I'm grabbing a pencil because I'm gonna actually label it in real time and show you how I kind of do this for you guys. All right. Alrighty. Okay. So let's say over here I have pre-time classics, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna flip over to one of these pages. All right, and unfortunately, this one I actually have all the numbers here. You can see I wrote the numbers, but you can kind of see a preview. I'll do one at the playtime level, so don't worry about that. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna look at this. Or you're gonna look up here, this picture right there. It shows you where to put your fingers and what keys to play it on. Okay, so you're gonna have one of these, a keyboard guide, and you're basically gonna match it up, right? So you see C right here. Right, it kind of lines up naturally. So 1 is on C, 2 is on D, sorry, right here. So 2 is on D, 3, F, and G, middle C position, right? So this one just has middle C position. So it shows you exactly the range of notes, and you're gonna put this on the piano so you know where to put your fingers, okay? So that's what you're gonna do with in terms of finding out where to put your fingers, and you're gonna stick with this range. So the good thing is that once you know the range of this music, once you know that this is, you know, this is in the left hand, that is what F all the way to G, right? The whole entire song, you know that it's not gonna go beyond that range, okay? Now, what I recommend you do is, let me check my notes here real quick. I suggest doing just one letter at a time. Like me, I just go by and I'll just label all of them because this is just super easy for me at this point, of course. But what you're gonna do is try to go one note at a time. So like, let's say you wanted to start with C, right? So middle C, right? You just try to identify that. We look over here. Here is C, it looks like this, right? And you're gonna go, and every time you find a note that looks like this, you're gonna label a 1. So right here, then right here, right here, right here, right here. So this is where you can get really tedious because I know this is not gonna be the easiest thing to do in the world if you're on your own, okay? But you're gonna go through every note one by one, and I'm telling you, do not skip this step. I don't know how long you're gonna have to do this for, because it just depends on how much time you get to practice doing this every day. But typically with my students, we'll go through pre-time, all the way to pre-time, maybe sometimes a few books, all the way to playtime. So it might be like anywhere from half a year to a year that I'm labeling each one of these notes. So it takes a long time. So unfortunately, you're gonna have to do this with every song you play for quite a while. But the good thing is, it's practice. The better you get at it, the faster you're gonna be able to go through this process over time, okay? Now, let's go to Christmas. So let me show you a real-time example. So right here, and I'll probably just do the first page. It's kind of awkward writing like this, but it's a good angle for you guys. All right, now if you look up here, now this is level 1. You're gonna have to, it's a little trickier because the hand positions start to move from one place to another. So they're trying to expand your range, expand your technique. So this parentheses right here in the right hand, the pinky, that means you're gonna play this note, which is a G, or you're gonna go an A. So this finger is gonna go back and forth. It gets a little tricky. I don't expect you to, remember all this. Later on in a future live stream, I'm gonna explain how to use my videos, and the videos kind of give you the answer to everything, so it's gonna make things a lot easier. Let me see if I can pick a different one with a different position. So these are all middle C so far. Okay. Yeah, literally all of these are middle C. Middle C position, another middle C position. So thankfully, this whole book has middle C position. This is what, Christmas. Some of the books we come across, however, they do change positions. So that's where, it can get a little confusing. But yeah, let's go with, okay, let me go with the next one. Not this one. All right, this one will be a good one because another thing I want to explain. If you look up here, when you get more advanced, we have a 2 is not on the B, right? It's on a black key. Basically, that means it's a flat. I try not to do a lot of theory in the beginning, but if you get up to this level, you're gonna have to kind of know this. So a flat
is going to be any key that's closest to the left side going down, okay? All right, so let me show you on the piano. So if you see right here, I'm going to fix this angle really quick. So this key, if I want to make it a flat, it's this one right here, okay? Now the opposite is a sharp. The flat sign looks like a little B. You can think of it as an upside down balloon, okay? Now if we're going to sharp, it looks like a number sign, it goes up, okay? So when you get to like level 1, this is what you're gonna need to know, because you're gonna come across a few sharps and a few flats. And of course, when you get even better, you're gonna, some of the songs, some of the pieces you work on, you're gonna be all over the place. So if we look up here, thankfully this one right here just shows you second finger goes on this black key, which is B flat. And look up here in the left hand, see, that's B flat right there. Now, a couple things that makes this a little easier to read, kind of forgot to go over this. When you're labeling each one of these, for now, these are just basic stuff, basic level examples. Every time the line goes up, you want to think of that as the treble clef. That's going to be all right hand, so at least use that to identify. So that's going to be all right hand. When the line goes down, right here, when it goes down, that's going to be left hand. Okay, so if you look through, just an easy way to think about which finger, which hand, and whatnot. But these are just basic rules in the beginning. These rules will change over time, but they're gonna help you for now, okay? All right, so let's go through this example, right? Let me label at least, maybe one page, maybe half page, we'll see. So here, they give you the first one, right? So 1 is on C. So if you have that, that's a really good starting point, because they literally tell you which finger to start with right here. So 1 is on C. So the next one, you see it's 1 note above. This is D, it's a space note. So that's your second finger, right? Second finger. So if I label it in real time, it just goes like this. Here's 2, here's 1, right? There's 3, they give you that one too, so they know how to place your hands, right? And next one, 1, 2, 1, and here's 3, okay? So this is basically, I don't even make the students do this at their lessons. I do this for them. So yeah, this is gonna take a lot of time for you guys, all right? Yeah, so if we take this example of just going one note, find a G, right? So that's G. I know that because that's the 5th finger. It's also when I'm using the keyboard chart, if I look, that's the second line from the bottom on the treble clef, so I know that's a G. So every time I come across that note, it's gonna be a 5. So you might just take one note and go across the whole entire music. Anytime you find a G, go ahead and label that. Yeah, so anyway, that's just one rule to follow, but let me do at least one more line for you guys. Here's 5, here's 3, okay, here's 4, and then here's 1. So next one more line. It's 2, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, and 1, right? And here's the left hand. 3, another 3. This is pretty simple, super simple for me to do. It's just like reading the back of my hand. Okay, so it's not really that hard for me. All right, now if we look over here on the second page, one other thing I want to mention. Sometimes they'll have a circle on the numbers. Sometimes they won't. They should have it every time. This happens because it's just good to be consistent, but sometimes it doesn't happen. And I'll explain in a future video about that. But this example right here, look, it's the same letter, G, 2G. However, if you notice, the number is different. So 5, and this one is a 3. So whenever you see this, it's the same note, but a different number. That just indicates you're going to move your hand. Okay, so you're going to switch from your pinky on G to the 3rd finger on G. So this is, level 1 and higher. I don't think they'd have this at the beginning level pre-time. So, but this is something you're gonna need to be aware of in the future. And if anything, if you come across other examples that I don't cover in this live stream today, once you're able to start practicing and playing, and then you're able to use my piano tutorials, then you're gonna figure out a lot just by watching me play those. Okay. All right. Let's move this back. All right, I think that covers everything. Now, one last word of advice: if all this fails, if a lot of this stuff is confusing, and maybe you're someone who just kind of figures it out on their own, I would suggest just using the video of the song that you're practicing or the piece that you're practicing. If you just watch me do it, you might be able to figure out just by seeing it. Now, one other word about learning this and practicing this is that when you start to play, let's say you have the music laid out here, and you're starting to play. The good thing is just in one position. So the only thing you have to think about is which finger to play it with. So if you see a 1 and the line's going up and it's the right hand, you just play with 1, right? If you see a 5, you play with 5. The same thing with the left hand, 3, 4, 5. So when you're learning this, I would think I'm gonna suggest it's a really good idea just to only think about the numbers when you play. For some reason, the letters are a little tricky to kind of figure out, but numbers are super simple. For some reason, it's just like when you see 5, it's really easy for. I don't know if it has anything to do with how our brains work, but when they say a number, and this is why I start off this way, when you just focus on the numbers, you can play it easily. And over time, if you do this and you combine it with the flashcards from the last live stream when we're practicing how to read the music notes, your reading is going to improve over time. This goes back to my philosophy that I mentioned in previous videos, where I try to get students to get better at it without having to think about it a lot. It's like unconscious learning, right? They get better at it without realizing it. And I think that's a really good way to learn because, again, it's when I mentioned before, it's the most natural way to learn. Now, you're going to keep the keyboard guide at all times, and just think of it as learning a language or a skill. You get better at it over time. So if you think about how we learn English, right? We, in the beginning, we learn the alphabet, all the letters. Then the next step above that is when you start to read, you see the word. The next step above that, you see the sentence, and then the paragraph. If you're like a speed reader, you see the whole page. So you don't even see individual letters anymore. In fact, when I play, and any professional musician plays, we don't really even think this is an E, this is C, this is D. We just know that note, and we just play it. And in fact, we usually don't even see one letter, one note at a time. We just see the whole pattern because that's where humans kind of evolve. We learn through pattern recognition, but that's a completely different topic, kind of related, but anyway. This is going to take a lot of time, practice, just be patient with it. Again, if you're learning a language skill, don't get mad if you're not fluent within 1 week or even a month. Takes a few months, takes half a year, maybe even like 1 year to develop. Now, I'll leave you with one last example from my own students, and I had an adult come in, and she's still with me, of course. She's a complete beginner, so I got to start with scratch from her, and it took her about a year to kind of put these principles into effect. And the reason why it took her a year is because she's an adult. She has a full-time job. So she has a specific amount of time that she's practicing from day to day. So what we agreed on is she just wanted to do like 5 to 10 minutes. And if you do anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes, that's not a lot of time, honestly, to make like pretty fast progress on piano. So I just let her know that it's going to take a long time for these principles, for her to learn these concepts. If you do anywhere from like 30 minutes or more, then you're going to learn these a lot faster, okay? But with her, I said, we're just going to go in the beginning, we're just going to learn the numbers at one time, just only focus on the numbers, and your reading will start to improve. And now it got to the point where, I think like a couple months ago, where she's just starting to play it, and then she's just getting all the notes correctly, and it's almost like, how am I doing this? And in fact, with a lot of other students too, I have to point out, like, hey, you're starting to read the notes, play the notes without even realizing. They're like, oh, that's cool. They don't realize how mind-boggling that is from someone like me who had to learn it the traditional way, right? So it's kind of cool where, in the beginning I said, you're going to be able to identify notes and just play it with the correct finger without thinking about it. And, it's almost like I feel like a prophet in a way, because she would say something like, oh my God, like all the things you said, they're starting to come true, right? So if you stay with this process, and if you're diligent enough, you're disciplined, you put in enough time over a while, you're going to start to, do everything that I just shared with you, okay? Anyways, yeah, that's it. I think one other thing to notice too, that it also depends on your main goal with learning to play and read sheet music at the same time. And personally, I think it's more important to just begin playing right away. The reading can come along. You'll learn at the same time, but everyone's a little bit different. For instance, I have a student that he's just able to read the notes immediately. I don't know what's going on with that. It's just totally natural. He's super accurate with the notes, right? Develop like reading accuracy, and we kind of have to go to the numberings like for quite a while. But what's more important to you? For me, what's more important is if you just play right away and you get better over time. I think it's better to just enjoy playing the piano, and then the reading will come along. Okay. Anyways, yeah, that's it for today's video. If you have watched all the videos so far from the first lesson to today, and it's my hope, it's my opinion that you'll have all the basic foundations of playing piano, of learning how to play and read, and all just playing piano as a beginner, right? Now, the next video, I'm just gonna let you guys know that I believe is going to be the most important video, in my opinion, that you have ever watched. It's the most important thing that I've learned as a teacher, that I've actually learned in my own, journey as a pianist as well. And that's how to practice. If there's one video that I don't want you guys to miss, and if you didn't watch anything else from here on out, or watched any of the other ones, it would be this next video, okay? Because there's a saying in life that if you work hard, that doesn't mean everything, right? You have to work hard and you have to work smart. So it's the same thing with practicing. You have to practice hard, you have to practice every day, make it a discipline, but you also have to know how to practice effectively. Otherwise, you're gonna waste a boatload of time. So that's what I'm gonna teach you guys next week, how to practice the right way, how to practice efficiently. It's a very simple step-by-step process that I'm gonna share with you guys, and something that I think you're gonna get a lot of good results with. All right. Anyways, that's for today. If you learned something today, if this really helped you guys out, please like, share, or subscribe for more. Hope to see you guys in my next live stream. And until then, happy practicing.